So, I wanted to ask you a little bit more about Zora, because she's a wonderful character, and a little bit like a female version of Marty McFly, and just that nobody calls her chicken. She's always so angry.
Yeah.
And I thought about her a little bit like that because I was also thinking of Frighteners. So I definitely had her in that Michael J. Fox type box.
Oh my God, you're thinking of The Frighteners?
Oh, absolutely.
I love that movie. So, okay, we're going to talk about The Frighteners for a second.
Absolutely.
Everybody should watch The Frighteners if you've never seen it. Michael J. Fox had like a near-death experience. He can see ghosts, and there's an evil ghost serial killer. It's amazing. Watch it. I saw The Frighteners. I only saw part of it at first, and I was like, what is this? It was like one of those movies that came out of nowhere. I'd never heard of it before. I didn't know anything about it. I caught it like halfway through, and I was like mesmerized by it. I'm probably going to go buy it after we're done talking here.
You don't already own it?
No, and it
Get on it.
But made me think about it because I forgot. But like, it was one of those things. It was like the movie Grosse Pointe Blank, where I saw it in the middle, and I was like, "What is this? This movie's amazing!" And then like, I didn't see the title of it at the time, and like, it was before, like, I want to say it was before or around the time that like IMDb kind of got big. So I didn't really know where to look for it or anything. And I just kind of forgot about it. And then I saw it again on TV, and I was like, I saw it on the TV listing, and it was like The Frighteners and Michael J. Fox. And I was like, oh, I wonder if this is like that one movie where he had all the ghost friends and everything. And I was like, oh, this is it. Oh my God. And so many story ideas like spawned off of that. And like a bunch of them I haven't used or anything, but that is definitely like one of those formative movies where I watched it and I was just like, this is amazing. This is one of my favorite things. But yes, you were saying that it has kind of that Frighteners vibe to it.
It does, because it's not all fun and games. It's not. There's some serious stuff throughout, but it is a very fun in tone and in spirit. And come on, we're chasing ghosts. We're having a good time.
Right, we're having a good time. But yeah, in terms of Zora.
Something I noticed about her that I really wanted to ask you about, because I'm going to facetiously ask this question, because I know there's some plot reasons for it. But her mother is gone and was hated by the town, considered a witch. Prior to that, her dad was liked by the town, and until slight spoiler, he was found out to have suckered them all in a Ponzi scheme. And then she and her sister are in a trailer. Their situation's kind of desperate, and I'm reading this. I'm going, Jesse, what are you? She's 18. She's already got plenty of trouble with the ability to see ghosts. Her plate is full. Why this additional conflict piled on her? And I think there's an answer, but I want to ask the question.
Well, so part of it is it just kind of rolled into that over time. It was like, because originally there was nothing paranormal in the story. She was just a girl who had some troubles and was just, was part of the lower social class in town, lived in a trailer. Her family was fine. They were doing their thing. People didn't really like them that much. And she originally did have a penchant for starting fires because of her anger and different issues. Then it became, okay, there are other things starting fires. People think she starts fires. She's actually trying to stop it. But all of these problems are kind of, I mean, really, when I think about it, it's kind of like, the people who have, well, okay, so it's funny because I actually don't necessarily see the situation of like her and her sister living in the trailer and being, of a lower socioeconomic status as necessarily like, it's not great for them, but it's not necessarily like a conflict that they're trying to work past. They have their jobs, they know the deal, they know how their lives work. They're like, this is how we live. I wanted her family to be very loving and whole, but also broken up. So like, I wanted her parents to be out of the picture because I wanted her to be at this this point where she's above water, but she doesn't have her mom, who was the one who taught her how to do all these things and was really like her support person because her mom understood what she was going through. So I didn't want her mom to be around, and I didn't want her dad to be around for part of the book. And then when he comes back, you know, she has this kind of sore spot with him for what he did, because she really needed to have this feeling of like her lowest point is when she feels like she has nothing and no one to help her, and it's this realization of like, no, you do have people who are around, like your family is still here, they do still care about you, you have your friends, you know, you're not alone, all that kind of stuff. And then of course the ghosts and the fire starters those are the fun part of it. Those are the you know, she gets to have this is the issue that she's trying to put off and not think about, because she has these other things in her life that are like, I got stuff to do, like I don't want to think about these things. And then of course the beginning of the story forces her to, you know, come back to this and say, okay, now somebody has died, people are going to get hurt, I'm the only one who can do something, I have to do something. Even though I don't want to, even though this is the worst, even though I have so many other problems going on right now. And really, it's that catalyst of the fire starter coming back and killing somebody that turns all of those other parts of her life into like conflicts. Because the fire starter comes back, well, now everybody thinks she's, you know, committed another arson. And then they think that because of her family. So then her family gets the spotlight turned on it again. You know, she has to deal with her aunt. She has to deal with technically the cops. She has to deal with all these other things that were fine, not great, but fine up until this happened. She has to, you know, all these things about her mom resurface, about what happened to her and where she went.
And you took two of her fingers because you just figured she didn't have enough challenges.
So the fingers was okay, in a draft before this, Zora was the one starting fires. Actually, she doesn't now, but she was actually the one starting fires, and there were no ghosts. Before that, she was building and setting off pipe bombs, which actually, and her fingers getting cut off was a real life story. I knew somebody who built a pipe bomb and got to his fingers cut off because it exploded on him. And that was always like, wow, it was something that you did yourself that caused that to happen. And so that feeling of like, how would a person react to that, of like, I did something stupid and I lost two of my fingers because of it. It's not a mortal injury. It's not, you know, it's not going to kill you. And you can function perfectly well without two fingers. But it is that kind of like, you have to see that every day. You have to know that happened because you were doing something unwise.
Every time you interact with somebody, sooner or later their eyes are going to drift down a little bit to your hand.
And they're like, hey, what's up with your fingers? And you're like, don't look at it. Like, don't look at it. Don't talk to me about it. I don't even think about it. So Zora wears gloves because she wants to hide it as much as possible that she's missing two fingers, which of course they can't afford good prosthetics, so they stick out anyway, no matter what she does. And the other thing I liked about that was, so she lost these two fingers on her right hand, and these two fingers are your gripping fingers. So most of your grip strength comes from those two.
For the folks not watching for Ghost, which two fingers?
Oh, sorry, I forgot. They're the pinky and ring finger. Are your gripping fingers. And so she lost her pinky and her ring finger on her right hand. And somebody's going to read the book and be like, it was her left hand. I'm pretty sure it's her right hand. She lost those two fingers. And so, like, you know, anytime she's trying to wield her axe or anything, she has to have both hands on it because only one hand can really grip the axe at all. So I liked the idea of she's lost two of her fingers, kind of the way she lost both of her parents, in that she doesn't have that hold on her life anymore. Hold, puns. But she doesn't have that hold on her life anymore. And so she's still functional. She can still do things, but she doesn't feel as sure of herself. She doesn't have that. She doesn't have the functionality she did before. And she gets along with it as best she can. But, you still kind of get the that feeling of, I did something stupid and I was punished for it, because this isn't really a spoiler. The way she lost her fingers was after her mom left, she got very angry and she went out without Artemis, without her cousin, and started hunting fire starters alone. And one of them caught her in a field and basically tore off her fingers because she didn't have any backup. And she managed to get rid of it, but ever since, that was the incident that she lost her fingers, and then that was why everybody thought she started fires, because she was found there around a fire. So now she, wears these gloves to kind of hide this shame from herself that she did something like that, and let her anger get away from her. So in the beginning of the book, you see her really trying hard to, control her anger and not let it get the best of her. And as we see, sometimes that is not necessarily, while it is a good thing to try to control your anger, sometimes you need to get angry. So yeah, that's kind of the fingers. I knew as soon as, even as the story changed, I knew that the fingers had to stay. Cause it was by that point, it was just such a part of her character. That this was a thing about her that she was kind of ashamed of it, trying to hide it, but she was still functional. She wasn't cool with people pointing it out. She was like, hey, stay out of my business. It was this kind of private thing to her. And the way she thinks about her hand and her fingers throughout the book.
There's a lot of craftsmanship, craftswomanship, craftship on display. Craft. It's not my fault. Our language was made by sexists.
Gosh darn it.
But the cumulative effect of that, because you've got a character who we see, as you mentioned, reluctant at the beginning, but then even before she's on a quest to save the world, or at least her corner of it, she's saving the cat. She's doing just enough good things along the way that we know that however angry she gets, she's still our hero. We can root for her.
Right.
But the cumulative effect of all that conflict, sometimes some novels it collapses under it because it doesn't make sense. But in this case, because there is room for it all and it is all relevant as you go without spoiling, the cumulative effect is you really feel for Zora, and she's more. It's an odd thing to me that I know is true because I've experienced it in other people's books. That the more you hurt a character, the more you torture them. Just the more compelling they are, and the more unputdownable the book is.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it's funny, I agree, there are some books where just the more things that get thrown in, the harder it is to, it just kind of gets disjointed and goes all over the place.
The orphan has cancer now. Chuck this book.
Wait, what? Yeah, why though? And it is definitely that thing of if you're going to put more conflict in a story, it all has to go back to the character's internal struggle. Every single thing has to go back to that and what it means to them and building them as a character. It was funny because I wonder if people will say the same thing about Adamsville that I've heard some people say about Made You Up, which was, I saw a review one time about Made You Up where somebody said, and I don't normally go look at reviews, so it was chance that I saw this one, but they said, there was so much happening in this book that I thought I would hate it, but I didn't. Basically it was that idea of it should have collapsed under itself, but it didn't. And I think it's that thing of as long as it all relates to what the main character is going through and it's all tied together and the reader can understand why that's in there. You can thread it together, and sometimes you have to be really careful, but you can thread it all together in a way that it is cohesive and understandable and doesn't slow down the pacing or anything like that. And that was definitely what I tried to do here. There used to be a lot more plot threads in it, and then we actually simplified it down.
Okay, I believe you.
Well, there used to be 3 points of view. It used to be Zora, Artemis, and Kim. Okay, and so they each had their own like arc was going on. Thank God that didn't happen, because that was a bloated mess. That was a book that was going to collapse under the weight of its own plot threads.
I love reviews. I do read my reviews. I admire people with the restraint who don't. I do. You leave a review, sooner or later I'll probably see it. But I remember there was one review that started off with this story: pizza delivery available now, also set in Indiana, in a cornfield. It started with, this story was only $1, so I expected it to suck, but it was actually really good. I'm like, why did you waste your dollar and your time if you went in with the expectation of suckage?
You just thought it was going to be bad, yeah. But all right.
I'm glad I turned you around, but come on, man. make better investments with your time and your money.
Like, man, I appreciate you buying the book, but like, bro, yeah.
There's so many good books out there. If you're not into it, I'm not offended. Go read.
I love that. Like, when it's like, I expected to hate this, but it was actually really good. And it's like, oh, thank you. All right.
Well, I'm not happy, because I'm a person that likes to torture myself. And I'm telling you, I was not sad that night. Oh, well.